Over the next 2 weeks we're looking at skeletons and muscles, and our learning objective today is to introduce the non-chronological shape. Over the next 2 weeks we'll be working through the teaching sequence for a non-chronological report, which means it is not in any particular order. Today we'll be finding the shape. This means we'll be looking at the structure and parts of a non-chronological report. Can you find the shapes? Before we start looking at the shapes, let's see what we should expect to find inside a non-chronological report. So we should use the third person. It uses a heading to state what the report is about. The introduction clearly explains what the report will cover. There are catchy subheadings to draw the reader in. There'll be technical language linked to the topic. There may be diagrams with labels and captions, and the conclusion recaps all the report, brings it all together. On this slide, you will learn some new symbols for labeling the shapes to a text. We will use these symbols soon in the coming slides. We will begin by reading the non-chronological text. The Homo sapien. Over many years, scientists have questioned what sets humans apart from other mammals and wondered where humans came from. What unique features do we have which makes us human? We know that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa around 150,000 years ago, but have we adapted over time? 2 feet is fab. Marking us out from almost all other animals is our ability to comfortably stand on 2 feet for extended periods of time. This ability came about through a series of changes to our skeleton, affecting our cranial base, our spine, pelvis, femur, knees, and feet. Like all mammals, humans are vertebrates and have an endoskeleton, a skeleton on the inside of the body. When we grow, our skeleton grows with us. The human skeleton is light, has strong weight-bearing properties to stop us from becoming a jelly on the ground, and protects our vital organs such as our heart and lungs. Kapow! Fascinating. The human backbone is made up of 33 interlocking bones called vertebrae. That's where the name vertebrate comes from, backbone. And then we have a glossary at the top of the corner of the top of the screen. Endoskeleton, a skeleton on the inside of the body. Homo sapiens, the scientific name for human species. Mammals, animals that are warm-blooded with hair or fur. Tendon, a cord or tissue that attaches the end of a muscle to a bone. Vertebrates, an animal with a backbone. The major groups include fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Muscle mates. In order to move parts of our skeleton, we need our friend, muscles. Similarly to other animals with an endoskeleton, we use the skeletal muscles attached to the bones by tendons to help us move. So the walking human moves a joint by contracting one muscle, while the other muscle relaxes and becomes longer. Easy. Bones, bones, bones. If you think bones are useful, then you'll be pleased to know that you have lots of them. In fact, there are over 200 bones in the human body. Long ones, small ones, light ones, and one that isn't connected to any other. Each of our hands contain 27 individual bones which we use to firmly grab, carefully pick, and hold things up with such mastery that our skill is second to none. Applause. Practice. Have you ever tried cutting an apple, scraping a carrot, or molding plasticine? Well, around 300,000 years ago, early humans were beginning to hone these skills shaping stone from flint. They would strike the flakes of flint and meticulously turn them into tools for specific purposes such as cutting, scraping, piercing, and carving. Human facts. Coupled with an increased intelligence, our adaptability at manipulating tools with our hands has enabled us to have an incredible influence over the world around us. Did you know Homo sapien means wise man? However, some scientists believe that our physical abilities are no greater than any other animal on Earth, and what really makes us distinct and sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom is our ability to work together to be successful. Now it's time to use the key below to label our non-fiction shapes on our text. Can you use these symbols below to label the non-chronological report which has been copied in the next few slides? As you reread the text, add a symbol from down the bottom of your screen for each shape or part of the text. See if you can find them all. Continue the process for the second part of the text. As you reread the text, add a symbol for each shape or part of the text using the key at the bottom of the screen. Now, check whether you found all the shapes in the text. Look over the next few slides carefully. Did you find all the shapes? So on this part of the text, we have, first of all, the hook. We've got a heading. We've also got an introduction, which introduces what it's all about. We've also got something special. It tells us something informative, some facts. And we've also got a glossary, which confirms and clarifies for us some of the key vocabulary that's specific to our text, so it will help people understand what they're reading. Did you find them all? If not, add them to your list. On this side, we found like a skill. We learn more about parts of the human body. We also have a heading, a subheading, and we also have like different body parts. We'll learn more about the different body parts. On our final part of the text, we will continue to see the headings or subheadings that give us information as to what we're about to read. We find more information about the body parts. We'll also have another subheading to separate the paragraph, and we'll have a question and answer. So first of all, it will start with a question, and then it will give you the facts, a really interesting way of presenting the information. We've got also another heading which is called Human Facts, and then we actually then give like wow facts to really engage, really interest, and try and feed new information, interesting information to the reader. I'm just going to spend a few moments to explain this new planning sheet. So this is a planning sheet to plot the feelings and emotions of each shape in our non-chronological report. So in each of the parts that we've just looked at in the text, we're going to tell us how that made us feel. So if you have a look on the map now, on the left hand side of the plan you've got a smiley face and a sad face. You've also then got numbers 1 to 10. So 1 means you're either a little happy or a little sad, or 10 means that you're really happy or really sad. Okay, so it's really important. Now in the middle of the plan you've got all the different symbols that represent all the different shapes for every paragraph or part in your text, the non-chronological report. So one thing you need to be aware of, now we're looking at the feelings and emotions that the text gives you at each part. So if you have a look in the middle, you've got the hook, then you've got the glossary, then you've got an introduction, then you've got the special. You're given some skill. You find out again about body parts in the next couple of shapes, and then the second last one is the question and answer, followed up and finished with some wow facts. It's important to remember these key symbols in the middle of the screen, because you're going to need to really focus on these for the next slides, because we're going to be plotting, which means placing markers above or below them to say whether you felt happy or sad at the part in that part of the text. So all of them will need to do them in the next few slides. Read the text again, looking at each shape carefully. Start with the hook. What feelings do you have? Happy or sad? So now plot above the hook. If you're happy, that means it needs to be above the hook. If you're just a little bit happy like me, then you might be a 2 or 3. If you feel pretty happy, you might be a 6 or 7. If you're extremely happy with all the information, the topic or whatever, you might be a 10. If this is something that doesn't make you feel so happy, you might be going down into the blue area, where we're talking about this character just being a bit sad, but it will vary throughout the text. You might find some parts of the text more interesting and appealing than other parts. Now I'm just looking at the glossary. What feelings do you have? Are you happy or sad? Read carefully. Do you feel happier than you did at the start? Do you feel the same? Do you feel like you're less happy? So maybe it might drop down in the score, or you may go lower into the blue section. Again, none of these answers are right or wrong. These are for you, your personal experience. I then went on and plotted the I for the introduction, and I just showed you what it's like if the graph did drop below into the character being unhappy. I actually felt a lot happier than that. I would have been maybe a 6 or a 7, because I was really interested and engaged in it. And I also wanted to show you that when you join the dots, it creates a graph. So it shows us when the emotions are higher, and then it may drop down slightly because maybe it is less interesting or entertaining. So do that for all of them. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points on your graph that goes across the page. Task. Now draw the table below on your paper or book and place your dots for each shape or part of the non-chronological text. You need to go back to the text and decide where you will rate your emotions on the graph. Join your lines at the end. Use a ruler if you have one. Remember to post your work online so we can mark it. Well done, everyone.